we were just all practicing here, coming up, and I think Sergio, I think you were here. And we were practicing, and next thing I know, I looked to the back of the church, and I see a young girl come in. And she sat in the back pew. And I was like, well, you know, we weren't open. We weren't having service. We were just practicing. So I kind of kept my eye on her, you know, just, interesting. I wonder what she's doing here. So we're practicing. We're kind of going up and down. We're doing our thing. And I look again, and I just see her face into her hands. And I'm going, okay, now I understand. She was seeking for the house of God. So I kept my eye on her, and I didn't go over there. I wanted her to cry. I wanted her to cry. You see, brothers and sisters, because crying is healing. Crying is the torment within coming out. And if it doesn't come out, it stays in and it becomes depression. So I left her alone, and I was watching her just to make sure that it was, you know, she was okay. And she was crying and crying. About an hour went by. We finished. And I went over there and just sat next to her. And we started talking. Brothers and sisters, you're not going to tell me that as I was looking at her from over here, my heart filled with love. Why? Because I'm older. I've been there. I've cried before in pain. I have been her. So I felt her pain. I felt love for her because she was seeking Christ in her moment of despair. And it was almost an honor, if not an honor, for her to be here. Long story short, she did continue to come. She's made friends with some of our members here, and she comes once in a while, and it's wonderful to see her. She's not part of our denomination, and I love the fact that she comes. I actually, when I spoke at Doral, ladies, when I spoke at Doral the last time, she went, and she was there. So it was very, very nice. But brothers and sisters, you do feel love when you see someone that you don't even know. And that love can only come from Christ. Amen? Can only come from Christ. So let's continue. So it says here, listen to this. Paul uses marriage customs that we just kind of went through and roles to highlight Christ's relationship to the church in an unfolding chronological pattern. Number one. What is number one? Let me hear you. Number one, on Tuesday. Number one, right there, the second paragraph. Paul uses marriage. Exactly. I was hoping Sarah Lou was going to say that. Okay, so he uses betrothal. Christ offered who? Himself to the church. He offered himself. How priceless is that? Number two. Preparation for the wedding ceremony. Correct. The attentions of the bridegroom continue in his present efforts to sanctify and cleanse the bride. And number three, the wedding ceremony. So he gave himself. He is in preparing the wedding ceremony. He's preparing us. And the wedding ceremony itself. Christ presents attentions are in view of the presentation of the bride at the wedding. This last element looks to the grand wedding celebration at his return when Christ comes again. When Christ, the bridegroom, will come to claim his people as brides and present her to himself. Brothers and sisters, we wait for that glorious day. Listen to this. in ancient weddings, there was a nighttime parade. Can you imagine? There was a parade before the wedding. We've lost so many things in these beautiful weddings. So what would happen? The groom and his entourage would gather at the couple's new home. This is at nighttime. I'm imagining with amazing lights, beautiful lights. So they would gather at the home and with grand ceremony begin a procession, lit by torches and accompanied by joyful, lilting music and great rejoicing. Can you imagine? How beautiful. Listen, I'm glad I didn't read this before I got married. I think I would have done all of this. I would have done it all. So listen to this. So they come, they're parading down, lit torches, accompanied by joyful music, great rejoicing. The crowd just jostles toward the home of the father of the bride, gathering up the bride there or meeting the bride's own procession on the way. The parade would convey the couple to their new home, where the guest would settle into a week-long feast. Might just be one day for me, maybe not a whole week. That's an awful lot of work. Brothers and sisters, culminating in the wedding ceremony when the bride would be presented to the groom. How beautiful. When Paul portrays Christ presenting the church to himself, he alludes to this grand parade and to the moment of presentation. In doing so, he provides a moving portrait of Christ's return as a future wedding ceremony, when the long betrothed